2020 strikes again. One final kick in the gut in our special places. 2020 has been full of a lot of negativity, so vivid in a lot of people's minds. And here we are, a culmination of all that has been wrong with 2020 in the form of Wonder Woman 1984. Before I begin, I'm just going to say that this is a spoiler-filled review / rant. So if you haven't watched the movie and you are at all interested in watching the movie, then please log off now. Don't say I didn't warn you. This is your warning. This is a spoiler-filled review. Okay, you've been warned. Let's go. So Wonder Woman 1984 is set in the 80s, in case you could not tell from the title, and it's also about Wonder Woman. Go figure. Anyway, so it's set in the 1980s, 84 to be specific, and it follows Wonder Woman still doing her superhero stuff, but for some reason she's being secretive about it. She doesn't want anyone to recognize her, so she's doing the hero thing, but she's doing it in secret, saving people, making it her mission in life to do what she's been doing, which is, saving people. And it so happens that in her regular life, she works in a museum. She happens to work in this museum with the character, what's her face? I don't remember her name in the movie. Kristen Wiig is the character who becomes Cheetah. Anyways, they happen to work in the same museum together. And it just so happens that this ancient artifact makes its way into the museum, into the care of what's her face? Kristen Wiig, Cheetah. Again, I don't know what her name as a character is, and I know I should have checked, but I don't care. So anyways, so this artifact makes its way into the museum and into her care, and she has to figure out where it comes from, its origins, what it's about. It turns out that this artifact is sort of like a magical lamp that grants wishes. Just that in this case, where it's, with the magical lamp, you would get like 3 wishes from a genie. This grants 1 wish, and that's it. Wonder Woman is Aladdin. Yeah. It is Aladdin, right? Genie, wishes. Yeah, that's pretty much what it is. We have Aladdin / Wonder Woman / something else. Ugh. Okay, so there's no genie, but there sort of is a genie because, yeah, okay. Anyways, let's carry on with what it is that I'm trying to tell you about this story. So anyways, eventually this one thing starts to wreak havoc, and it creates 2 monsters in the form of what's her face and Max Lord, who are the 2 villains in this movie. And Wonder Woman has to save the day. That is pretty much the plot of this movie. Fantastic. So now that I'm done telling you what the plot of this movie is, let's just go right into my thoughts on this movie. I'm going to start off by saying I did not enjoy this movie. It is the complete opposite of the first movie. When I saw the trailers, when I saw the first trailer, I was convinced I wasn't going to like it. And I was right. This movie, for me, just kind of poos on everything that the first movie was. Now, don't get me wrong, I don't think that the first movie was the most fantastic movie in the world, but it was well done and it was loads of fun. Not perfect, but compared to this movie, the first Wonder Woman was a masterpiece, because this movie, for me, is garbage. I know that it takes a lot of work for people to make a movie, and so it's really horrible when people have these negative things to say about it. But at the end of the day, if I didn't like something, I didn't like it. I'm not going to paint it in a shade of beautiful just to make up for the fact that people spend time making this movie. I'm sorry. I'm not trying to be mean. These are just my feelings. I want to find all the things that I did like about this movie. I've been sitting here for a while trying to figure out what did I like about this movie. And I don't think that there is anything that I actually remember enjoying, but I will say that the cast did their jobs well with what they were given. I didn't enjoy what they were doing, but I guess they were acting great with garbage. This movie is just visually rubbish. The CGI is really bad. Now, perhaps it's because there's something I've noticed is that sometimes, this is why I've always said the cinemas lie to us, because when I go into the cinema and I watch a movie, sometimes it looks completely stunning. And then when I watch it at home on my TV, it doesn't look as good. You can see all the flaws. And I know that CGI is not perfect, but I've seen so much better. And in this movie, it's just not good. It almost feels like they couldn't finish it. I don't know if COVID affected this movie, but this movie was done in 2018, so I'm not really quite sure. I mean, I guess maybe filming was done and pre-production carried on into when COVID started, but it's just not done properly. It just feels like they didn't put in as much effort as with the first one. And there were a lot of issues in the first one as well, but still, it looked better. Maybe I'm just imagining it. I don't know. It just, visually, this movie is just not the one. It's just not. It's not. I will also say that there isn't much action in this movie. Every action scene is what you saw in the trailer. I don't think that there was anything new. I think we saw all the action scenes in the trailer. I might be wrong, but I don't think that I am. Obviously, you just saw clips. You didn't see the full action scene, but I felt like we saw everything there was to see. And there was nothing fantastic. There was nothing mind-blowing like, wow, that's so well done. This is so beautiful. There was nothing. It just felt like they just put in the action scenes to kind of, I guess, make us feel better about the fact that this movie is not really a superhero movie, but more a romantic kumbaya, everybody lives happily ever after, even though they're bad kind of vibe. I thought that the plot was cheesy. The characters were cheesy. The whole movie was a lot of cheese. It's just, I don't want to spend too much time talking about it because I just didn't really like it at all. It's not for me. It's not a great movie. I don't even think it's a good movie. It comes across as something that should be on TV. I don't feel like this is worth the 200 million budget that they spent on it because I just don't see where it went. So yeah, these are my thoughts on this movie. I don't like the music. I don't like the year it was set in. They didn't even make it look cool. It just, it just didn't work. This movie didn't work for me. I did not enjoy this movie. It's a no. And now that I'm done talking about my thoughts, I'm going to share with you some of the plot holes that this movie has that made it even harder for me to understand how this movie was like, what? Why? I just don't get it. This movie begins in Themyscira, I think that's how you say it, where Wonder Woman comes from. And it begins with her as a kid again. I think she's about 9, 10, maybe even younger. And she is running this training course with fully grown Amazon women for reasons beyond me. But anyway, she's doing this thing. I guess they're trying to show us how strong she was even as a kid. But what struck me from this scene straight away is, in the first movie, her mother didn't want her competing or getting trained, didn't want her to know anything about what skills she had. She just wanted her to be a child. Her mother wanted to keep her a child forever, and so her aunt was training her in secret. But in this movie, it begins with her publicly running this course and practically beating these fully grown women.
And I'm thinking, did they not watch the first movie? How did they forget that she wasn't allowed to train or to do anything that involved any kind of combat? But then in this movie, she is doing it in front of the whole city. It makes no sense. And that was the beginning of the end for this movie, because from then on, there are just loads and loads and loads of plot holes. I'm not going to cover them all because there are loads, but I'm going to talk about the few that bothered me. Yeah.
Another issue that I had is that when Steve Trevor showed up, he shows up in the body of another man. So where Diana is seeing Steve, I guess that's just so we can see Chris Pine as Steve. He's actually in someone else's body. He is inhabiting someone else's body. So I'm guessing that when Diana made her wish for him to come back, this person whose body he's inhabiting dies and he takes over. I'm not really quite sure. They don't make that quite clear, but that's what I'm assuming. Anyway, so he inhabits this guy's body. And there's a point in the movie where they have to travel from DC to Egypt. And Diana makes a comment like, you know, we can't just get on a plane because you haven't got a passport. And I'm thinking, well, he does, because he's in someone else's body, and the person whose body he's in has a passport. He's not Steve Trevor. So it's just little things like that. You think, did they really pay attention to this, or were they just doing what they wanted just so that they could fit in some lines, just so they could get Steve Trevor to fly a plane? And I'm thinking to myself, how does he know how to fly a plane in 1984, a jet in 1984? They don't run the same as the jets when he was. So it just feels like they didn't think through the choices that they made. They were just like, oh yeah, this is going to be cool, this is going to be sweet, this is nice, so let's just do it, even though it doesn't make sense, because the audience are so stupid, they're not going to figure out that, you know, it makes no sense. But hey, you know, it's a movie, let's just do it. I could go on and on and on and on about the plot holes in this movie, but I don't want to bore you, and I don't want to make this video too long just for the sake of talking. So I'm just going to say that for me, Wonder Woman 1984 is a failure. It's a letdown. It is nothing like the first one. It does absolutely nothing for me. I got no laughs. I got no fun. There was no pleasure gained from watching this movie. I just thought it was a waste of time, a waste of money. I feel like they could have done something more fantastic, but for some reason they wanted to do this story about love and everybody can change and everybody can be good, you know, and it just didn't work. I know that there was a message in this movie, but it didn't work. It just came across very cheesy. It came across very childlike. And I know that Wonder Woman, I guess, is supposed to be family friendly, but come on, there are grown-ups watching this movie too. Can you at least try? Just try, just for us, please. But no, what's done is done. What are you gonna do? So yeah, if I had to rate this movie, someone asked me, how would you rate this out of 10 as a superhero movie? And I gave it a 2. How would you rate this as an overall movie? I gave it a 4. So I give Wonder Woman 1984 a 4 out of 10. And I feel like I'm just being generous just because they spend time making this movie. So might as well give them a decent-ish score. It's not a great movie. I wouldn't recommend it. But if you're watching it at home and you've got a friend that can pay for you to watch it and you don't have to pay for it, great. I mean, because I feel like even if you don't pay for this movie, they should give you your money back, but whatever. I don't think it's great. I don't think it's, no. No, this is just a no for me. I won't be watching this movie again. I feel like I wasted my time watching it. It was very boring. So no, this is not a movie that I would recommend, but I will let you make up your mind. And please, by all means, if you have watched the movie, please leave a comment. Let me know what you thought. We don't have to agree. I know that there are some people that like this, but please leave a comment. Let's talk about it. Let's see what you guys think. With that in mind, thank you again for taking the time to listen to me talk and rant. Thank you for subscribing. Just thank you for being here. So I'm gonna go now and find something constructive to do with my time. But please like, please share, please subscribe, and most importantly, please come back and watch more videos. Thank you for watching. Take care of yourselves. Bye.